Hello, this is Helium Evid, and I'm an administrator at the End of the World As You Know It.com. And today we're going to be talking about a article which was posted up on our site about the 15 economic statistics that just keep getting worse. And I've given you the URL there at the bottom. The originally came from a site called the economiccollapseblog.com, and it was we're going to be talking about each one of the points as we go along in this afternoon and talk about them. So getting along, item number one, the first one they talk about is that about 15% of all Americans require food stamps to buy their basic foodstuffs. So that's really a large number. That 15% of the Americans are on the dole just for food. They can't buy enough food. And if you take a look at the number of people that have jobs, that 30% of the people that have job holders need to contribute just to get them enough money to make these people have basic requirements that they need for food to live. So it's a really bad problem, and it's getting worse by the week. We're almost getting to the point where we have the iron rice bowl that they had in China. Next, we look at the where the jobs are, and as we can see here, most of the jobs are along the eastern seaboard here, from Washington D.C. up to New York and Boston, and then on the west coast from Los Angeles down here to San Francisco, a little bit in Denver, some around Chicago, a little bit down here in Florida, but most of the country is empty. But we're finding that we're having a tremendous problem with immigrants continuing to pour into the nation in unprecedented numbers, and what this does is tend to drive the wage that is required even for a skilled job, because some of these immigrants are very skilled doctors, dentists, and things like this, into the country, driving costs of labor down, and the availability of jobs very, very hard to find. So we're going to be talking about that more in slides later on. But the economy here really lost 131 jobs during the month of July, and we just can't take this sort of job loss, or these areas are going to turn into just slums. The nominal time for out of work is greater than 6.8 months. That's 35.2 weeks per individual. That means that you're out maybe as much as a year, and that's why so many people are on the dole for the food stamps, and why so many people are taking unemployment checks. It's become an almost endemic problem in the United States at the moment. The U.S. is spending trillions in entitlements. Almost more than the entitlement program is almost larger than the Pentagon spending. And the problem is that with all of these people going on to unemployment, there's nobody paying taxes, so there's no one to foot the bill. So it's a catch-22 position where there's no one to pay the bill, and somebody keeps handing out money, and where they're getting it from, well, that's a good question. That's why we get to the last slide in this vision as we go down the slide list today. Spending is just out of control. The fifth point that they make in this paper is that the spending is just completely out of control. Here it shows that the government will be paying $2 trillion on just the interest by 2020, and the government budget is less than $4 trillion for the entire year of 2010, of which about 1.5% of that is for entitlement programs. The government is, however, if you look at it, if they were forced to use GAAP, which is generally approved accounting principles, then if it was using it, it would be discovered that the government is cooking the books, because really the deficit should be somewhere around from $4 to $5 trillion. So they're doing things to make the situation look better than it actually is, and doing things that would be illegal if you were anybody but the government. Next thing that we're learning is that Social Security will be paying out more benefits in 2010 than it receives in payroll taxes. They finally run out of money. We've discovered that the Ponzi scheme that Social Security has finally run out of money, and particularly on the next set of slides, number 8, we'll really get a better idea of what's going on. It's a scary business. For every 2 workers for each retiree. Now, what's the government going to do? Is the government going to use fairy dust like they have before and just sweep it under the cupboard and not talk about it? I don't think that's going to work. Are they going to tax the 2 workers for each worker to the max, and each retiree gets maybe an average of $1,200 a month? So does that mean they're going to take $600 out of every worker's paycheck to pay these retirees every month? I don't think that's going to go down very well. I think that's going to have to come up with some other solution. And of course, you know what that's going to be. They're going to go ahead and add Social Security to the general ledger, and it's going to go ahead and drive the taxes up for everybody. You, me, everybody. Taxes go up. There's no way they can get around it. Finally, we need the wealthy to help us pay taxes, but wealth is being concentrated in a very few people's hands. There's becoming a very big disparity between the people that have money, the wealthy, and the people that don't have money. And the wealthy are deciding, we don't like this program that you're doing, how you're spending our money. And some of them, being led by Warren Buffett, are setting up charities to donate as much as half of their holdings to hand out their money to charities they want, not charities that the government has legislated. And what this is going to do is, they put it in these charities, is when they die, it greatly reduces their state taxes, and so the government gets cheated out of the taxes they were gleefully rubbing their little hands over, hoping to get when Warren Buffett dies. Warren Buffett is going to see that it goes where Warren Buffett wants it to do, and he's got about 50 other billionaires doing the same with the Bill Gates and Linda Gates charity that they've set up there. So don't look at the wealthy to bail us out on this. They're going to save who they want to save. People in America now are living paycheck to paycheck. 61% of the Americans usually live paycheck to paycheck. That's more than half of the population don't have any money savings in the bank. They're just living paycheck to paycheck. And may wonder how many, that doesn't include, maybe there's some of those that are even worse than paycheck to paycheck in the 61%. So let's take a look at that next. So more and more homeowners cannot find the means to pay their loans. It's, the mortgage bankers say that 10% of all homeowners have missed at least one payment since January this year. It's a all-time record problem. And we're finding that people can't afford to live by themselves. Kids can't afford to live by themselves, and even banding with other kids to live in groups. And we're finding that older people can't afford to live in residential places, and so they're having to move back in with their children. So we're going back to more of what is advantageous in the 1800s, and moving back to multi-generations living in one home. It's fine for some people, but it's not the way the American society was based in the 50s and 60s generation. And then more and more people are becoming delinquent on their payments. Remember, we said people were living paycheck to paycheck? Well, some of them are not even being able to make it from paycheck to paycheck. They're falling behind on their loan payments, as we saw, and then this lowers their credit score. And then when they try and go to get a loan consolidation loan or something like this, or maybe renegotiate with a bank, they find out they've lowered their credit score because they haven't been paying their bills, and they go round and round, and they just spiral down and bunk into the ground they go. So it's a really bad situation. Finally, we're finding that there are more and more bank failures. We had reached the 100 mark this year by July, where normally in a year last year, which was horrible, we didn't meet it till October. But the bank failures, what they do is they take the bank that's failed and they take their non-performing loans and they put those over in a good bank that's got strength, and they take these non-performing loans, they bundle them up with some good loans and say, well, the big bank can take the losses. Well, but isn't that what got us in this frigging mess? Isn't that the derivatives that made the housing bubble, that by making the derivatives of putting risky loans in with the loans and selling them? I tell you, I think we just never learn. Somehow we have to pay the piper and pay off these loans or write them down, take the losses and get it done. But that doesn't seem to be the way that we're headed. And finally, the coup de grace, as with all fiat currencies, the almighty unbacked U.S. greenback dollar continues to deflate. As we see, an item that used to cost $20 in 1970 would now cost you over $100, $112. An item that cost $20 in 1913 would cost you $440 today. So inflation is definitely in our future, and it could be hyperinflation. We just don't know at this time. So finally, these are 15 economic statistics that just keep getting worse, and you can take a look at them and read the whole article at our website, http://eotwalkie.com. And it's the end of the world as you know it, because we believe that even if you want to stand still, the world is going to change around without any liking from you. It's going to change whether you like it or not. And you can also go to spell it all out, endoftheworldasyouknowit.com, and that'll take you right to the website too. So thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this slideshow, and that's all we have for today.